The power of hydrogen that you are going to learn about on this podcast is going to blow your mind. So I didn't even know about it myself until I went to a conference and I met Dr. Paul Barattiero, who just opened my eyes and blew my mind at the same time of all the different things that hydrogen can do. So Dr. Lisa O and myself did this podcast together where we're both asking Dr. Paul all of these questions. So this is going to be a game changer for you, and you can probably hear the excitement in my voice. The latest introduction, the latest member of the family to the Fixxr line is Metabolism Fixxr. And this, oh my God, I formulated this just for all my people out there that need to lose weight, that need help in the weight loss department, that can't lose weight no matter what they do, that feel like they have a slow metabolism, and that might be thinking of trying all those peptides out there, you know, the Beverly Hills soccer mom drug of choice for weight loss peptides. Or even if you're on them already and you're like, man, these are really expensive and I'm still not losing weight, add in Metabolism Fixxr. Here's what I did. I took the power of T2, which increases your basal metabolic rate while you are sitting there watching Netflix. You're burning fat while you're watching Netflix. I combined it with a very unique patented ingredient called Suppressa. Suppressa has multiple clinical trials backing its efficacy in reducing your appetite, decreasing snacking, and providing way more control over your food intake. It is amazing. We also see improved emotional well-being, just decreased food cravings all around, reduced hunger, and weight management. Add on top of that, we have green tea extract, we have purple forest purple tea extract, both of which affect the metabolism in a very positive way without the jitters of normal fat burning supplements out there from the 1980s and 90s, right? The ones that made you feel like you're having a heart attack. You will not have that in any of my supplements, Thyroid Fixxr or Metabolism Fixxr. But Metabolism Fixxr, ooh, yeah, we kicked it up a notch. It is in powder form, so you can drink it through your day. It's going to flavor your water. We got orange crush and refreshing citrus. I love them both. It is going to keep you under control all day long. So you throw a couple scoops in your water bottle in the morning, throw a scoop or two in your water bottle throughout the day. You will have fat burning and appetite control the entire day for what? An eighth of a price of the peptides? Oh my God, you can't go wrong. So grab some Metabolism Fixxr today. Please let me know how you do on it. I am super excited for you. Super excited. I'm going to tell you about Dr. Paul first here. Dr. Paul has lectured across the world in the last 22 years. You're going to hear about his story and how he helped his own wife with all of her thyroid issues, gut issues. She had all kinds of things going on that they totally disappeared. She got better through the use of hydrogen water. So 13 years ago, he set out to educate the world on the benefits of hydrogen. Thank God he's doing this. He educates on how molecular hydrogen reduces oxidative stress and inflammation, which is the leading cause of disease. We know this. So then he developed Echo Water Systems. And these systems are sold around the world and they just work right in your home. They're not crazy expensive. You don't have to be a millionaire to have one. I have one. I will keep you updated on the results that I see. We talk about that in the podcast as well, but you just have to listen to it. It's going to blow your mind. It's going to leave you speechless. You're going to want to get one of these things. We're going to have the link in the show notes for you guys to get one with a discount, but just listen up. I promise you, this is going to change the way you think about health and change the way you think about what you can do about your health.
Welcome back to the show. I am super excited today for our guest. We have Dr. Paul Barattiero here. And there's a whole story behind this. My sister sent me a link like 2 months ago and said, you've got to check out this product and you need to meet Dr. Paul, or you need to like talk to him somehow. And lo and behold, Dr. Amie Hornaman and I were at a seminar last week and Dr. Paul's there. So we're doing like a podcast with all three of us today, which is going to be a little bit different for both Dr. Amie's listeners and mine. But there's so much great information on this hydrogen water product and so many health benefits.
Definitely.
Welcome.
I'm excited.
All right. So Dr. Paul, I want to know about how you figured this out. I think Amie and I both have used hydrogen tablets and all that type of stuff, and we understand that within our health practices. But there's so many health benefits from this, and I'm super excited because I'm going to have a machine here shortly to really start using it for myself.
Yeah. Well, it all started for me 17, 18 years ago. My wife, the love of my life, we're married 28 years now, but at that time we were married 10 years. And she had thyroid issues, gynecological issues. She was highly anemic. There were just a number of issues going on. And my world at that time was in diabetes and complications of the foot. And so I wanted to help my wife. I think any good husband would want to do that. You know, when you're losing your wife a week out of every month when she's on her cycle, who wants that? The whole family is disrupted and it was horrible. So that's what really started the process, is me wanting to help her. And I was doing research. I was trying to figure out what I could utilize to help her. And we were trying everything. And you know what they say, when you're trying everything, you start to find stuff, and some stuff works and some stuff doesn't. And so the water really helped her. It was huge. And so once the water did help her, I wanted to understand what the mechanism was, because everyone at that time was talking about alkaline water. And of course, I didn't agree at all with the pH of the water, but I couldn't deny from an anecdotal perspective that the water did help her. So while I didn't agree that it had anything to do with pH, I wanted to understand what it did have to do with. So that's what led me on my journey.
I love this with the alkaline water because I get this question all the time. And I think maybe I spoke with you about it, or was I speaking maybe with somebody else at your table at the conference? I know Amie was there with me, but I often tell people, I'm like, your stomach acid is acidic, right? So why do we want to alkalize? Like, and I understand like there's so many people out there pushing this alkaline water, but we can deep dive into that, but we're not like, let's actually talk about the hydrogen in the water and let's focus on that. And Amie, jump on in. Like,
well, yeah, my question, Paul, is how did you start with the hydrogen? So now we have this machine that can infuse hydrogen into our water. And we're going to talk about that because both Lisa and I bought one and we're going to be using it. But how did you start that with your wife? Did you start with the little hydrogen tablets that both Dr. Lisa and I have used? And I can't really say I noticed anything with them because, you're using them really sporadically. So how did you do that with your wife?
Okay, so there were no hydrogen tablets. There was nothing hydrogen when I was doing this. Because again, I'm the one that started talking about hydrogen in 2009. There was me and there was another guy, Tyler LeBaron, who was a college student who was trying to figure out at the same time. And so it's kind of interesting, but there were no products out there. Probably Patrick Flanagan's microhydrant product was the only thing that you could see in history that was really, and it wasn't even used or talked about a whole lot. So again, I had people that were saying, hey, this water will help. And it was pH or alkaline water. And so I used it and it helped her. But it was later that I figured out that if you have hydrogen gas in the waters, it doesn't matter what the pH is. It doesn't matter a lot of things. If there was hydrogen gas in it, then there was benefits. And so that's what led me to then want to completely focus on developing devices or a machine that would dissolve hydrogen without changing pH. And the way the technology was in 2009, 2010, 2011, when I developed the product, we didn't know yet how to create hydrogen gas without changing the pH. And so the alkaline water machines that have been sold for many, many years, actually, starting in the 1965 in Japan, for example, way back, there were devices that were alkaline but they didn't know it was the hydrogen gas. They should have known, but they didn't. But the reality is, in 2011, when I launched the Echo brand, we were still making the alkaline water, but we were talking about the fact that it was the hydrogen that mattered. It wasn't until a few years later that we were able to create the hydrogen module where we do not change pH, but we're able to dissolve the hydrogen gas and have all the benefits without the negatives of changing pH.
That's what I wanted to know, was how that all kind of started, because we didn't, like you said, there weren't the tablets back then. Then the tablets came out. So I wondered where you started with your wife and how it came to be that you made the Echo machine.
Just to go into a little more detail on that, I had alkaline machines, and I was actually involved with a company. Before I started Echo, I was with another company and I was one of the owners, and we were selling thousands of devices per month. This was 16 years ago. This was a long time ago. We were selling devices that changed the pH. Now, they also made hydrogen gas, but we didn't understand early on that it was hydrogen gas. It wasn't until 2009 that I really came to understand it was hydrogen. And the reason I did is, one of the people that worked for me in another business that I had a PhD in water chemistry from Emory. And I gave him like these bunch of studies that the whole alkaline water world was using to support their story. And I gave them to him and I said, can you read all this? I don't find anything that's legitimate. Like, I literally, it's all hype and nonsense. Can you look it over? So he brought them all back the next day and he said, everything I learned in getting my PhD in water chemistry, this is all completely opposite of what actually happens. So no, I don't find anything. But he goes, I have this one study that I think will help you. And I think the answer is in here about the middle of the way through. And he handed it to me and showed me a chart. And on that chart, it said DH. And I was like, DH? And he said, dissolved hydrogen. And I was like, whoa, wait a minute. I've been seeing those bubbles in the water, and I was thinking it was hydrogen, because just understanding electrolysis, when you have water electrolysis, you're just breaking up the constituent elements of water, which is hydrogen and oxygen. And I said, and boom, I felt immediately the truth of that. And I just focused completely on hydrogen after that. So that's actually, how it happened. It was a gentleman by the name of Chris and I who kind of came to that conclusion.
So then let's talk about hydrogen and the benefits of it. Why is it so beneficial when we're adding this to our water? It's helping in so many different aspects.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, so to answer that question, we have to look at the body and the way the body was designed to function. So the body was designed, engineered, whatever word you want to use, but it was designed with a hydrogen generator built in. This is how critical hydrogen gas is to the function of the body, the health of the body. It's so critical, mission critical, in fact, that your body is designed to produce hydrogen gas. Now, we call it flatulence, so we can call it fart therapy or whatever you want to, get all funny with it. But the reality is, if our gut is working properly, which is maybe 2% of the population, 1%, I don't know, it's pretty low. But if a gut or gastrointestinal tract is working properly, that would mean that we have the correct bacteria strains. And what we're really talking about is anaerobic microflora. So 91 to 96% of gut bacteria should be anaerobic microflora. When we have the terrain, the biome, and we have the proper bacteria, there's also another wonderful bacteria in there called hydrogen trophs. And these hydrogen trophs will convert short chain and medium chain fatty acids, as well as fiber, into hydrogen gas. And hydrogen's primary role is to reduce oxidation, or to manage oxidation to keep it in a normal range, so it doesn't rise and get to what we call oxidative stress. So hydrogen is a signal modulator for antioxidant pathways, oxidation in the body, ghrelin secretions for neuroprotective effects, for what's called gastric ghrelin that goes to the hippocampus, the hypothalamus, and the brainstem to make sure that plasticity of brain, alpha, beta waves are working correctly. So there's many, many things that hydrogen does, from regulating telomerase and telomere lengths to all kinds of stuff. I've been studying this for years and I still learn new things every day.
So this is why you can say this helps with gut health and weight management, etc. Right? I'm always trying to be careful with how we say certain words here.
I just say it. I just come right out and say it. Listen,
I'm trying to keep him safe too.
Yeah, no, my audience wants to freaking lose weight, period. Because
right. We all do.
And hormone. Yeah. Yeah. But it does, everything starts in the gut. It's all tied together.
Yeah. But then when you talk about the ghrelin and everything else, I'm like, this is all just going to help tie back in. And I love, like, telomeres are one of my biggest things that I love talking about because I'm a chiropractor, right? So people always say chiropractors always look 10 to 20 years younger than what they actually are. And I'm like, I always want to see the studies on telomeres and chiropractic care, but it's also all the healthy lifestyle management. So the fact that you're saying that it's helping with this, I'm like, this is my geekiness there. Like anti-aging, let's do it.
Well, yeah.
Benjamin Button. Let's go.
Well, the coolest thing about telomeres and hydrogen, I was in a telomere summit a few months ago. And the reason they had me in the summit is because I was talking to the person that put on the summit, telling them that hydrogen is so incredible in the human body that when you look at telomere lengths, because that's what you would look at is the telomere lengths to show anti-aging, right? So in healthy cells, hydrogen lengthens telomeres, but in cancer cells, it shortens them. And so this is critical for a haystack principle where you wouldn't want cancer cells duplicating. Hydrogen will shorten telomere lengths in a cancer cell, but lengthen them in a healthy cell. This is mind-boggling for people because it's almost like the creator made it that way, and that hydrogen is supposed to be in the body innately, which of course we know it is. We're supposed to be producing 10 to 12 liters of hydrogen gas per day if we're eating the proper foods and we have a gut that's functioning. So the good news in all this is, I think you all know I didn't create hydrogen. I simply understand that hydrogen does a lot of really amazing stuff in the body and it's necessary for life. And so we've got to get hydrogen back into the body. That's why I created the device so that we could get hydrogen in the body, number one, and we can heal the gut, not band-aiding methods, but actually heal the terrain and the biome so that the body is self-reliant and self-sufficient.
Okay, I want to go back to the benefits really quickly because that's where people are gonna, what's in it for me, right? What's in it for me? So if we know that hydrogen is healing the gut, is it doing anything directly to, let's say, inflammation in the body or to the thyroid or to our endocrine system? Or is it just kind of working at the gut level? Because we know there's all kinds of connections, the gut brain connection, there's the gut thyroid connection, there's the gut adrenal connection. Is it working there and then kind of going systemic to help everything else?
So there are currently 1,207 studies. Every single one of them talks about inflammatory response in the body, cytokine storms. Any inflammation in the body is helped by hydrogen. That's one of hydrogen's primary roles, is reducing oxidative stress and chronic inflammation. Now, that's critical because that is the leading cause of disease. When you combine oxidative stress and chronic inflammation, that's where disease comes from. So the fact that you have 1,200 studies, 18% of them are double-blind human studies, placebo-controlled, that all state that hydrogen's primary role is to reduce oxidative stress and inflammation in the body, that's huge. So absolutely inflammation is reduced. Then when we start talking about the fact that hydrogen is a selective antioxidant that's amazing as an ROS scavenger or reactive oxygen species and what we mean by that, for those that don't know what ROS scavenging is, there are radicals in our body, and we talk all the time about antioxidants or getting rid of the free radicals. what people don't understand is that most of the free radicals in the body are life-sustaining, or they have what's called a physiological role. So we don't want to get rid of all of them, or we would damage health. We want to get rid of the reactive oxygen species that are cytotoxic, or what's called cell damaging, like a hydroxyl radical. And so what really got everyone excited about hydrogen in 2009, right after I got involved, funny enough, Nature Medicine published the first foundational study on hydrogen being a selective antioxidant, and it's not an electron donor, it's a modulator. So what they talked about was that it actually lessened hydroxyl radicals in the mitochondrial respiratory chain. So there was energy production, what have you. So we really, Dr. Amie, can go anywhere you want to go, whether we're talking about inflammation, we're talking about cognitive function, neuroprotective effects, whether we're talking about endocrine, whether we're talking about thyroid, whether we're talking about nitric oxide production, whether we're talking about Parkinson's, it really doesn't matter. And this is probably my greatest challenge, is because hydrogen is responsible or involved with so many pathways and so many systems in the human body. 62% of the body is hydrogen. When you get down to the core of the body, it's carbon hydrogen chains. When we look at stomach acid, it's HCl, hydrogen, right? I mean, you cannot escape the fact that every single thing in the body requires hydrogen. So if we have a gut that's dysfunctioning and you can't produce hydrogen, the entire system is in trouble. And it's a matter of time before we contract a disease model, and prior to that, we have conditions, what we call conditions or issues that are starting to come. We have joint issues, which is all oxidative stress and inflammation. So what gets me so much passion about this is because it's so simple. We just throw hydrogen as a tool back into the body, and all of a sudden it starts modulating pathways that were supposed to be working. And now we don't need to do so many things to overcome symptomology or to overcome the issues. But on a core level, gut, brain, immune, and our antioxidant system are the main four core systems that hydrogen is enabling.
So especially for people dealing with a lot of longstanding chronic health issues, we can allow that body just to regulate and to do its thing. I'm thinking of like chronic Lyme, and I'm obviously Hashi is one of them. I think is just screaming at me with the chronic inflammation as I look at Dr. Amie over here, because I know that's your audience too.
That's my audience. And then that's what you're dealing with. So it's like, it's a personal level and a business level. Yeah.
Yeah. This is amazing.
Well, there's a lot of people with Lyme disease that are helped, or even they think they're done, and then they drink the water and it comes up and then finally passes. And what I would say is the challenge with Lyme is you're going to chase it all your life, because you're going to go from organ to organ. As Lyme goes from weakest organ to weakest organ, you're going to chase it from a symptomology perspective. And you could do that theoretically your entire life until we put the system back together and we get the full gut functioning so that all of the immune function is raised. It's believed, and I believe it, 70% of the immune function of the body is tied to gut health. Well, a lot of us talk about gut health and everyone knows they have screwed up guts, but what does that really mean? What it really means is the bacteria is not correct. Well, what does that mean? People are like, well, thanks for letting me know my bacteria is wrong in my gut, but what do I do about that? What do I have? So if we want to fix the gut, it is an electrical conversation. But throwing probiotics are not going to fix. It's a good Band-Aid, but it's not going to fix. When we look at studies on strict anaerobes, in other words, anaerobic microflora, which is critical, 91 to 96% of the bacteria in the gut should be anaerobes. If we're looking to create an environment, then we have to get the polarity of the tissue in the gut to a negative electrical potential. And we specifically have to get it to a negative 300 millivolts or 400 millivolts of electrical potential. And then we've created the biome and the terrain, and the anaerobic microflora will begin setting up communities again. This is why we're able to tell people with confidence, you drink water out of our machine because of the hydrogen gas and because of the ORP that's going to create in the gut. Within 2 weeks, if you have gluten and dairy issues, you won't have gluten and dairy issues. If you've got dysfunction in guts, you'll have a gut that's functioning properly. So this is why we can confidently do that, because after years of anecdotal evidence, we know, and also many studies talking about the electrical potential of the gut, hydrogen will change the electrical potential of the gut and will create the biome, and we'll have a functioning immune system again. It's very beneficial, and it's highly life-changing, I would say, for generations. When we get a machine into a home, the entire home is benefited.
Well, and I think this is something, the conversation over the last few years with the pandemic, with the immune system. And I know I've gone on my own tirades about it, where obviously most people in America do not have a healthy functioning immune system just to begin with, because of our typical American diet and all the pharmaceuticals and everything else being thrown at us. And then to lock us in our house, had no vitamin D being synthesized, all this stuff. And so this can be so beneficial in all aspects of just incorporating, obviously, the hydrogen water. I know you have several different versions of the machines. So can you talk about some of those? And I know one of them incorporates frequency, which again, as a naturopath, I'm all about loving this stuff too, frequencies and stuff. So if you could share some details on that as well.
Yes. So we have everything from a rechargeable sport bottle up to a very robust high-end machine that produces 4 types of water. The 2 top machines have the synergy resonance technology built into them, the Echo H2 machine and the Echo Ultimate machine. Both have the synergy resonance, which is the frequency system that you alluded to. So when it comes to the sport bottles, this is really for people on the go. We call it the Echo Go, and it is for people that are away from their main machine or on vacation or whatever. It's also for people that are skeptical and maybe they want to spend less money to see if it's going to benefit them. The thing that I caution people is it does not replace the machines, because the sport bottles are awesome, but they will not have the same effects in the body. Even though they will have benefits, you'll feel benefits right away. Getting a machine in the house is really where you're going to see, your full healing. But at least you can start at a very low price and start to see benefits. So we do have rechargeable sport bottles, that someone can put clean water in, push a button, and have hydrogen water. So we want to have everyone be able to try it. But then we also have the machine, the server, which is designed to go with reverse osmosis or some sort of filtration system in your home. And then we have the H2 machine, which has a filter built in for people that want just an all-in-one machine that just makes the hydrogen. It's got a filter, it's got the hydrogen, it's got the frequencies. It can be countertop or under sink. And then we have the ultimate, which is 4 types of water. And really the reason we're doing 4 types of water is because, women more than men, and I know that sounds a little weird, but it's true. Guys aren't as good at beauty, right? as women. And so we don't do all the great things that women do to preserve their skin and do all these things. So the ultimate machine makes 4 types of water. And of course, it's filtered only in hydrogen, like the Echo H2 machine, the hydrogen water you drink. But then there is alkaline water and acid water, not for drinking, but for cleaning dirt. The alkaline water is amazing as a surfactant or cleaning dirt. And the acid water has a wonderful kill spectrum, but it's a perfect toner for the face. It is amazing for acne. It's amazing for pink eye, blepharitis, dry eye, gingivitis, psoriasis, eczema, whatever, if you have roses and you give them the acid water, they're going to grow like crazy. So plants love the water. So we have this machine that makes 4 types of water and has the frequencies, so that if someone has the money and is like, I want it all, they can get that machine and have all kinds of uses for body, for drinking, for cleaning, for disinfecting, like having a chemical-free kitchen. So we really have a spectrum for the machines. And then we also have a whole house filtration system that removes all the contaminants that you would not want in your water to bathe in. You don't want your hair being dry and your skin being dry. So people like to have filtration system for their home. So we're kind of that one-stop shop for water needs, but really our specialty obviously is hydrogen water, which is what we're known for. There's a million companies out there that can clean water or get contaminants out of water. We're the only company that actually has the hydrogen water system that can improve your health and get rid of disease models based on having hydrogen gas in the water.
And I want to go back to the gut, because when you were talking about that too, and just tying all this into the systems, I think, a lot of people will be like, oh, that's just so expensive. I don't know if I want to invest in that. You're already spending, like you said, Dr. Paul, so much money on the probiotics, on the GI tests, on every supplement that you're throwing at your gut. And 6 months later, you're still dealing with gut issues and you haven't really even solved the problem. Whereas if you invest in this, I see this as almost like a nice blanket to not only heal the body, but to also save you money on all those supplements that you're just taking randomly. I know Dr. Lisa has patients like this too. The ones that come in with the bags of supplements, and they're like, this is what I'm on, but I'm still dealing with X, Y, and Z issues.
Well, and I'm assuming you've muscle tested them, and many of the things they're taking are actually their body resists. They don't want it. And so, they're taking this to do this, and they got to take this to help with that one. And it's like drugs, it's the same thing as RX. You're taking this drug and then you got to take this one to counteract the negatives of that. It's just crazy. So I'm a proponent of actually just getting the body to function the way it's supposed to and not taking all this stuff. And I'm all the companies that are making supplements, bless your hearts for helping people. But me personally, hydrogen can regulate many of the same pathways that the supplements do. And so I would prefer that we get the body functioning the way it's supposed to, so that you don't have to spend hundreds and hundreds. I mean, I'm in chiropractic offices, I'm in doctor's offices, I'm in naturopath's office many times, and people will check out, and the money they spend on the actual care is a fraction of what they spent on the bag of bottles going out that sometimes is $500, $700. And here's the deal. People are buying our systems, and for what you're spending on supplements 1 month, 3 or 4 months of what you're spending on supplements would pay for a water machine in your home that you're going to have the rest of your life, for your children, for your animals, for you, to fix your brain, fix your gut, fix your cardiovascular, lower cholesterol, lower any opportunity to have disease models, nitric oxide production, telomere regulation, immune function increase. I don't know what else you could actually do where you can purchase one thing one time, have it for the remainder of your life, and modulate every single system in the body. For those of you that are on long haulers, there's 8 studies on long haulers. There's 8 studies on long COVID, those that were hospitalized, because hydrogen it gives huge help with cytokine storms and inflammatory response on long COVID and all these kind of things you have. So where would they go to see those studies? They will go to hydrogenstudies.com, hydrogenstudies.com. Just type in whatever you want to type in. Cancer, you're going to see 114 studies, diabetes, 55, Parkinson's, 33. I mean, just whatever disease model you want or want to understand, or that your loved one has, or you have joint issues, rheumatoid arthritis, there's wonderful studies on there where rheumatoid arthritis was mitigated. Parkinson's, we start to look at these disease models, and it's not like your typical study. The conclusion in these studies will say things like hydrogen water can inhibit colon cancer, right? This is very strong language. When you look at type 2 diabetes mellitus, or type 1 for that matter, it'll say hydrogen water administration had a beneficial role in prevention of type 2 diabetes mellitus. So they're very powerful outcomes in these studies. And again, we can take it back to the body. The body was supposed to be producing hydrogen. And if we didn't have all the chemicals that are disrupting gut, you wouldn't see all the disease models that we see. We have hundreds of diseases that we didn't even have 100 years ago. There are so many different things going on where people are contracting diseases at an alarming rate. And I'm not trying to be a fear-based individual. The reality is diseases are increasing, not decreasing. And we are supposedly the best country on earth and have the best medical system. Why then are we increasing disease models instead of decreasing? And I would submit to you, it's because of gut issues. It's because you don't have hydrogen. You're not producing hydrogen. And so you're not modulating all the pathways that hydrogen would modulate.
We're going to do an N=1 study. You didn't mention autism. You mentioned Parkinson's, which is another neurological disease. But autism, you and I were talking about it at the summit, and my stepson has it. And I told his mom that I'm getting this machine, and she started nodding. Like she has seen this in her autism groups, talked about how hydrogen is beneficial to the brain and to autistic conditions and behaviors. And I said, well, we're going to try this out. So I know how he is at baseline. Maybe this will be a published case study, but I really want to do an N=1, like a 6 month to 9 month case study, and really see the changes, because I know the changes that have not happened over the last 6 years. So it's going to be really interesting to see the changes that do happen over the next 6 months.
Well, I'm excited, and you'll want to keep a journal, and you'll want to be noting what behavior changes you see. And actually, you'll probably start seeing them in the first day or two. So be ready. There are studies on autism and ghrelin secretion. So the reason why autism, bipolar, schizophrenia, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, whatever it is, it's because of ghrelin secretions. Hydrogen's not going to the brain. There's no what we call striatal hydrogen, but there is gastric ghrelin going to the brain, and that's what is normalizing. We did brain mapping. Dr. Kelly Miller, he's in Tampa, and he does a lot of brain mapping. And then I have an EEG equipment in our office as well. And then, heart rate variability, body composition testing. We have doctors that do all of this, and they call me and they're freaking out because Dr. Kelly Miller, for example, had a 62-year-old female patient, and all he did was give her the water. He said, Paul, I'm going to see what happens. You always tell me, give him the water first and see what's left after I do that, and then treat what's left, right? So he gave her the water, and he did a baseline EEG, and then he gave her 16 ounces of water, 62-year-old female. And what he saw was a 32% plasticity change in 3 minutes. 3 minutes from drinking the water, there was a 32% plasticity change in the brain, 58% normalization for alpha and beta waves, and just overall function in the brain. It's mind-boggling. And he called me and was like freaking out. He's like, Paul, this is crazy. It normally would have taken me 60 to 90 days of having her do a lot of things correctly to get her to this place. And yeah, I just gave her 16 ounces of your water and then did a test in a few minutes. This is ridiculous. And I said, no, I know it's rapid. And this is what people need to understand. We don't need a ton of hydrogen in the body. We just need hydrogen in the body to modulate these pathways, whether it's hydroxyl radicals in the mitochondria, whether it's lactate buildup in elite athletes, whether it's neurologic, whether it's thyroid, whether it's anemia. My wife had so significant anemia that the doctor was saying, you shouldn't be able to get out of bed. Why are you able to walk around? Why do you look like you're normal, but your iron levels, your hemoglobin and your hemoglobin are like you should not be able to be walking. You shouldn't be able to get out of bed. And she goes, oh, my husband has this water thing that he does, and I drink the water and I feel great. Well, he was like, well, I don't know about that. This was years ago, right? And so I told my wife, let's mess with the doctor. Let's mess with them. Next time you go for your blood test, that they're going to do hemoglobins and hematocrit, because of course they gave her iron pills, right? So that's going to fix you by eating iron pills. And it's not at all going to constipate you. And it's not at all going to, cause any other issues. Because she came home and I said, don't you dare take those you can take some blackstrap molasses. That would be a million times better to get some iron in your system. However, next time you go to get your iron, your blood test, they're going to looking at iron, drink the water 20 minutes before. So she goes in there and her iron levels are perfect. And they're like, wow, did you take the iron pills? And she's like, no, I didn't touch them. And they're like, what did you do? And she's like, nothing. And they're like, this is crazy. Like, you went from extremely low to perfect. So then I told her, and so the doctor says, what were you doing? And like, these charts, these are crazy. And she goes, I told you I'm drinking that water my husband gave me. And he goes, really? Okay. Well, I can't argue with the results, but I don't know, keep doing what you're doing, kind of a thing. Well, the next time she goes in, I told her, don't drink the water. Well, she was all the way down again. And he goes, wait, what happened? And she goes, I just didn't drink the water this time like I did last time. Then the next time she went, she drank the water again and she was perfect iron levels. So it made a believer of him, because he was like, oh my gosh, like literally it's like from one end to the other. And so I would simply say to people, hydrogen is there to modulate systems, pathways, core systems and pathways. And I know it sounds maybe strange to people. I know they think like a gas that you would be farting out of your body shouldn't have such an incredible reaction or effect in the body. But I'm telling you, I've been doing this for 17, 18 years, and it does. It has life-changing effects in the body: digestion, gut function, brain function, collagen in the skin. I mean, everything, eyesight. We have had individuals with diabetes for 35 years that have had improved eyesight. And I mean, where do you see this after they've had their insulin dependent for 35 years? When do you see that? And so I would just tell people or encourage you, it's worth it to try it, because what if half of what I'm saying or 10% of what I'm saying is true? This could benefit your life hugely.
So quick question. Obviously, if we drink the water throughout the day, like I'm assuming any normal person would do, what about cooking with it? What about like making your coffee in the morning? I know that's my vice that I allow myself, my, clean, no pesticide, no mold, organic coffee. Like it's still fine to heat.
It is. You'll lose the hydrogen when you heat up the water. Obviously, hydrogen's a gas dissolved in a water. So when you heat it up, you're going to lose the gas out of the water. I would say that cooking, same thing's going to happen, but you have good water that doesn't have chlorine, because if you're using tap water, like a lot of people do, the chlorine gets absorbed right into the food and the vegetables. So I would say you use the water for everything, but you don't have to freak out about not having hydrogen in every single water that you're putting in your body. As long as we're getting 2 or 3 times a day the hydrogen, you're regulating the pathways, and it's great. There's no significant issue there. Now, if you're making drinks or putting powdered drinks or whatever people do, of course use it with that, because you'll be fine. And I would say that the only thing that you're going to lose is heating. When you heat up the water, that's the only time. But I will tell you that pastas, vegetables, food in general tastes better when you use the water with it versus not. And, just kind of get used to using it all the time, which is why the sport bottle is not really, could you imagine making water with, so, it's a good thing for travel, for drinking water, and it's a good thing for testing or skeptical people. But the machine is really the solution for lifestyle. And so it should. And I'll tell you what we do really well is we create water snobs, because people don't want to drink any other water once they get our system. And, here's the funniest thing to me. People's dogs, they become water snobs. I was talking to someone the other day who said, my dog will not drink any other water now. And they want the water and they want it fresh. They're like, nope, give me the water. Dr. Pompa, I don't know if you guys know who Dr. Pompa is, but Dr. Pompa is a very dear friend, and he endorses and promotes our system to all his people. And he has a dog, and the dog's name is Friendly. So Friendy loves the water, and he sent me pictures the other day, and Friendy will move the bowl of the water and whine to let them know, I would like you to change my water, please. And he says, this dog is like a new animal. The eyes have cleared up and everything's happened. So I would tell you that, yes, we have veterinarian hospitals that use our water systems, of course, but pet owners, they are watching their dogs that are getting better, and skin issues, kidney issues are going away. We have doggy daycares that are using our water systems, and they're like, Paul, their kidney issues are going away. Their other issues, their skin, their eyes looks clear. There's so many things going on with these animals that are amazing. It's not just for people. It's for pets. It's for children. It's everyone. There is no contraindication for animals, for people, for anyone. And so I would just tell you, use it. I actually was just at a show last weekend, and there's a dairy that's going to start using it for their cows, because I told her in Japan there were 27 dairies that use the water, and the calf morbidity rate reduced. The hormones they needed, the antibiotics they needed were reduced by, I think, 80%. The smell of the fecal matter completely changed. I mean, a lot of benefits, right? So I would just tell people the real story is, you should have hydrogen in your body. Your body's designed to make it, but because of gut damage, you can't. And so we're going to restore your ability to have a proper gut. We're going to restore your cognitive function or brain function. We're going to reduce pain in the body, and we're going to change the way your body, the energy level. So you were talking about coffee, Dr. Lisa. They actually did a study, coffee versus hydrogen water, from energy increase, and hydrogen water won by 10%. And it's not a stimulant. There's no negative. So that was the fun one. And a lot of people have said, oh, I don't actually drink coffee anymore. Now I just drink my water in the morning and I feel even more energy. So,
well, I know Dr. Amie's audience. I mean, I can relate with all of them with Hashi right now. And it's like, sometimes I need that coffee just to get going in the morning. So we're all going to be really geeked.
Well, and we could do a follow-up where you're like, check out what happened,
I mean, we were just laughing on the podcast a couple of weeks ago with somebody, we're talking about gut health and how often people walk in and they're like, oh, I've done the bone broth fast, I'm healed. And it's like, it takes a little bit more than that. Right? Like, everybody understands now, we've all got a leaky gut and we understand little bits of things. And so we might do the collagen and we might do this and we might do some probiotics or whatever. But when you've been chasing it for 20 years, like, we need to get it fixed. Right.
Yes. Well, and there's a lot of other complications with having gut issues. I mean, gluten and dairy is one thing. There's anxiety, depression. There are psychological issues that aren't your fault. It's simply you have the wrong bacteria in your gut. And so not only does that change food cravings, but anxiety, depression, stress, all of that is tied to the bacteria in your gut. So if it's not enough that you can go off medications, if it's not enough that you can eat, gluten and dairy, if it's not enough that you can run around the block without getting tired, if it's not enough, on and on, that your immune function is increased and you're not sick as much, if that's not enough, then, we can give all kinds of other things that it does where you can, have enjoyment. But the psychological part is significant. If the food part isn't doing it for you, your attitude, your outlook on life, your ability to communicate with other human beings on this planet, your personality, believe it or not, is more to do with your gut than you understand. And so I would say all these reasons are significant reasons to be able to. I've had so many moms call and say, my son or daughter who was on the spectrum is no longer combative with me. It's such a peaceful environment. I've actually been able to start a business again because I had to give up my business because I had to be with my adult child every moment of every day because they were hurting themselves. They were hurting things. They were hurting me. They were punching me constantly. And now they're not. I don't know the value of that. But for me, it's definitely worth more than $2,500. And to have your life and your freedom back and your ability to create, we've had people that from a brain perspective just couldn't do what they used to be able to do, and now they are. I don't know the value of that, but to me, that's pretty high. So I'm not, I'm just trying to motivate you all to give it a try. I've been doing this for a long time, so this stuff just rolls off my mouth. But I can tell you, one of the most emotional times for me was a doctor who came up to our booth and hands were shaking from tremors. And he said, would this help me? And I said, absolutely. Drink 2 glasses of water. So you're talking 12 ounces of water, drink 2 of these and let's see what happens. He came back 10 minutes later and said, look at my hands. They're still. And he goes, I have tingling in my brain. And I said, just wait about 20 minutes and it'll be in your feet. It'll go all the way and you'll have tingling in your feet. He goes, you serious? I said, yeah. He was blown away. I was crying. He was crying. I mean, you change someone's life like that and it's pretty significant. And so I just encourage you to think of everyone who's suffering. Think of yourself maybe and your loved ones, your spouse, your parents, your grandparents, your children, whatever it is. And I'm telling you, 97% of the population have guts that aren't functioning. So everything I've talked about on this podcast applies to 97, 98% of every human being walking around this planet. Please help me on my mission. I can't do it alone. There's 300 million people in the United States alone that have no idea their joint issues, their cognitive issues, their brain issues, their food allergies, their stress levels, their cholesterol levels are due to oxidative stress and inflammation and a lack of hydrogen in their system.
I love it. Such amazing information.
Well, and I'm particularly interested to see what happens with Lyme, what you noticed there. And then with Dr. Amie's patients, I know she said that they're interested in weight loss and stuff. We have quite a few people that all they did was change the water and they were losing 20 plus pounds in the first month because of inflammation and water storage, right?
Sure.
So we don't sell this as a weight loss product, that's for sure. But when your body's functioning and your elimination pathways are open and you're accomplishing what you need to do, it's amazing what can happen to you. Water fasting, Dr. Ed Group uses my water. Mindy Pills uses my water. All these people that are doing water fasting use my water because they're not hungry and they can go 21 days. Dr. Jack Stockwell went 21 days and lost 35 pounds.
Wow.
And it's still gone. I saw him the other day. And so just know that when hydrogen is modulating the same pathways as food would, you're not going to be as hungry and you can go longer and not have water fasting be such a miserable experience. And what I mean by water fasting is not intermittent fasting, but when you're only taking water into your body for a period of, typically people do 3 to 5 days, but we have people that are going 21 days and they're not hungry and they're happy and feeling great.
Well, it's amazing. Well, I know we will be putting all of the links in the show notes. I'm sure Dr. Amie will be as well.
Yep.
So thank you so much for your time today. This has been just brilliant. Great information.
Oh, thank you very much for the time.
Thank you, Dr. Paul. And this has been great. I hope everyone really takes this in and listens and gets a machine to apply it to their life, to their health, for their family, everything. So thank you.
And we'll have a special discount for your listeners. This has been amazing. We'll do a special discount for them so that they can, save a little money, have an exclusive discount. But yeah, I really encourage everyone. We do have a 30-day return. We have financing if you're in the shopping cart for $120 a month, which is typically 2 bottles of whatever someone's taking. For $120 a month, you can have a system in your house. So it doesn't have to be all at once on a credit card if you don't have that. So we really have tried to make it available for any budget and anyone. So,
Beautiful.
I love it. Thank you so much.